Bo, welcome to the podcast. It's an absolute honor to have you on today.
I know. I've just been waiting and waiting to be invited. And finally, you got through all your famous clients, and now I'm here. So here we go.
And here we go. Okay, let's dive in about stories. So first and foremost, as course creators, we want our students and our clients to trust us, right? We want them to have trust in us and that we can serve them at the highest level. Where does story come into play? Why do you think it's so important that we know our personal story as course creators?
Well, it's the quickest way to build trust. And the trust has been eroded so far in the last 100 years, especially in the last 3 or 4. It's really gone downhill because no one trusts anybody anymore. Like people that we used to trust, we no longer trust. And Gallup's done a poll since 1974, and it's proven out. The question that Gallup has asked since 1974 is, do you trust your neighbor? And in 74, it was 2/3 of the people in America trusted their neighbor. Now it's below 1/3.
Wow.
So that's the people you share a back fence with that you don't trust. So imagine a course creator. Imagine somebody who lives in another city or another country, how low that trust must be. So it's rampant, and most people get depressed with that news. But if you're on this podcast today, I would be licking my chops. I would be like, okay, here's an opportunity. Because every time there's no trust, in a world, there's an opportunity to build trust that's been eroded over time. That is why story is so key, because it is the quickest, it is the fastest way to do it. And if you think about your own lives for just a second and why you're on this podcast, think about why you're on this. You're on this because you trust Gina. Right. It's wild, right? You feel like you know Gina because of her story. You feel like you know her. And therefore you drop your armor that's protecting you and you begin to trust her, and you go, oh, Gina always comes through with a good guess, or always comes through with something I really need to hear today. I trust that she's going to come through again today. That's because you know her story and you know her. Well, now let's flip that back on you as a course creator. This is what I would, if I was a course creator, which I am.
Which you are, right?
Yes.
Yes.
And, we're all in the same boat here, and we all been trained by somebody who's the best at what they do. That's Gina. So we trust that. But listen to this. I think this is the most helpful thing that I can do for you today, is I want you to become your training. I want you to be one in the same as the course that you're creating. Because those are the only coaches, those are the only people that I trust.
Yes.
If you're like, I know Gina's son is aspiring tennis player, who wants to be a great tennis player. So if Gina doesn't trust the coaching that he's getting, she's going to move to a better coach.
That's right.
That's just how it is. Well, same as all of us. That coach better represent what he's coaching. Otherwise, the cuffs and collars don't match. He's out. Same for us as course creators. You guys, the stuff the courses that Gina and I have created for our business, for my business, there's no difference between Bo and Bo's courses. Nothing. Right? The molecules are all the same.
Yes. Congruent, completely congruent.
Here's
who you are.
Here's the one problem that everybody wants to kind of do to protect themselves. And I know a lot of you are going to be thinking this right now. Oh, but if I could just take one step away from my creation, and I'm kind of a little puppet master over here, and here's my course. Don't do that. You can't, not in this day and age. You have to be your training. You're the actual human embodiment of whatever you train. That is the people who are going to succeed the most going forward.
So good. So good, Bo. You talk about Tristan being an aspiring tennis player. So I share those stories on my podcast, right? Because I want to connect in a different way. I want to talk about struggles. Like I talk about struggles with my business, with raising Tristan and everything. And I think that's a connection point, right? So when people are listening to this, they might be saying, I understand you want me to share those personal details, but I'm a little fearful, Bo, right? I'm
Yeah.
feeling too vulnerable. What do you have to say if somebody comes up with that? They're fearful of that.
Yeah. All of us are.
Mm.
All of us are at some level. And then a few of us, I hope all of us on here today, look, your vulnerability, you're going to feel vulnerable when you're sharing something about raising your son or about, something really bad that might have happened in your life. But that is the greatest connective tissue that you have to another human being, because human beings don't connect to success. Everyone thinks they do. So they want to make their story like, hey, I drive a fancy car. Hey, I'm married. I have a perfect marriage. That does not connect you to another human being. They don't trust you over that. They do trust if you got in a fight with your spouse, because
Right.
guess what? Guess what? Everyone's had one,
Relatable.
Everyone. This is why, if you think of movies as story vehicles, right? Does Mission Impossible, just the title alone tells you it's what you're watching is impossible. That's what they're telling you right from the get-go. And then the first image you see in a Mission Impossible movie is Tom Cruise bleeding, hanging from a thread off a cliff with his whole family murdered or, kidnapped.
Right.
This is all impossible. And this is where we're going to begin the story, because that's great storytelling. Well, think of that in your own life. I'll give you a little experiment, just 5 seconds. So everybody, think of your proudest moment that you've ever had. 5 seconds. The greatest, most proudest moment of your life. Okay, everybody got it?
Got it.
So forget about that. It is not a good story. It doesn't connect you to another human being. Okay, another experiment. 5 seconds again on the clock. Think of your lowest moment, the moment where you looked around and there were no answers for you.
Yeah.
That's a good story. That's the moment. If you're interested in building your business, you better build it right from there, from the struggle, because that's the only human element left that connects us. Oh, you mean she had a fight with her husband? I know what, I feel you. I got it. Or, wow, Tristan's really struggling in tennis today. Like he was told that these other kids are better than him.
Right.
Oh, that I can connect to. I'm with you. I trust you. So I want you all to start from that place. Now, you're not going to I'm not talking about victimhood, am I? I'm not.
No.
There's no such thing as victimhood in storytelling, if you notice.
Okay.
No movies are made of victimhood, if you notice. They're heroic.
Right. Okay.
They're heroic, not like, woe is me, my life's been crummy, and my mom abused me when I was a child. It doesn't go like that. It goes, despite that, my mom said I was the worst singer in America, and that's why I went to work, and that's why I hired the best voice coach, and that is why I'm Taylor Swift now. You know what I mean? Yes. That's how stories really work. That's how they all work. I'm telling you, I don't care. Listen, I know we're vulnerable. I don't want to sound mean when I say this, but I don't really care how you feel. No one does. No one cares how you feel.
Right.
They care about what you're going to do in the next moment, despite how you feel. Like you may feel like vulnerable or low or weak, but what are you going to do? Are you going to stand up? Are you going to fight? Are you going to fight for my greatness? If I buy your product, I better know who I'm dealing with. That's you. That's the face. That's the brand. That is the voice who is behind creating this product that I'm going to spend money on. I better know I can relate to them, and I better know they're going to be fighting for my greatness. Otherwise, they're not getting my money.
Oh, so good. And I get resistance on this, and I bet you do too, Bo. Like when I'm building courses for people, like I'm working with 2 women right now, and they're like, we just want to leave ourselves out of it. We don't, right? And I'm like, no, they want to hear your story though. They want you. You're the brand. Yep. Right? So how do we make sure we infuse that and don't when we're teaching? Like how
here's the advantage. Everybody's being taught what those 2 women are saying.
Right.
Everyone's being taught there because we're so used to culturally people saying this. It's not about me. And then what do you know is about to happen when someone prefaces a sentence with, it's not about me? They're about to start bragging about themselves.
Make it about them.
Yes, that's what they do. I'm not saying it is about you. Why in the hell would you create a course? Tell me, what gives you the pain that you've gone through to create it for others, to help others to avoid that pain?
Right.
That's the connective tissue. That's leadership. That's the new model of leadership. So remember this always. You're always going to have feelings. I have feelings before I come on this podcast. I'm like nervous. I'm like, how do I look? I hope I don't screw up the podcast. Hope I don't say stupid stuff. We all have those feelings, but what do? I turn on the damn podcast and all of a sudden lights are on and it is on. And I go forward with connection and a vision to help the people who are watching this. Well, you have the same vision. So it doesn't matter how I feel. I'm still going to win the game. It doesn't matter how you feel. You still got to win the game.
So, Bo, because you mentioned this, I would love to just examine this a little further because you talk about emotions and using them as fuel, right? Like when you're nervous, like that means you care about something, right?
Yeah.
So Tristan, we always bring it back to Tristan. Tristan's been so nervous playing these matches, or I have course creators who are so nervous about creating their content. How do we use that in a great way? How do we use those emotions?
Oh my gosh. If people only change the terminology of what that actually is. I was told I used to be a performer, an actor, right? Mm-hmm. And I would be the most nervous when I was a pro athlete. I was nervous, right? But what I noticed was the greatest players in the history of the NFL are the most nervous. Joe Montana, Jerry Rice, Warren Moon, Earl Campbell, the greatest players of that generation of all time are puking. They just don't show you. They don't tell you that.
Yes.
They don't talk about it.
They don't talk about it.
Yeah. This is what I noticed. Wow, there's something to this. People who puke and have to go to the bathroom like 80 times before kickoff, they're actually the best players. What does that mean? That means they love it the most. That means they care about it the most. That means they have the most time invested in it.
Yep.
So we call it nervousness when that's a bad connotation, right?
Right.
It's not nerves. I was once taught, Bo, I know you care about being good as a performer. That's why my hands shake when I perform. Sometimes it just shake like this, and people are just staring at my hands going, what is wrong with this guy? And a teacher, probably the greatest performance coach I've ever met, said to me, you are so lucky. And I go, what do you mean I'm shaking? They don't want to hire me because I'm shaking. He says, because you actually care.
Wow. Yeah.
And that is rocket fuel for an artist. That is rocket fuel for a business owner. You care to be great at something. That's why you shake. He said, if you'll put this rocket fuel called shaking hands into your voice and your message, just transfer it right from here to here. Like I'm going to fight for you right now. I'm going to teach your ass off right now. And you put that rocket fuel into your messaging, into your voice, into your brand, into who you are. You won't be perfect, but thank God for that. You will be effective.
Amazing.
And that flipped everything for me. And still to this day, whether you're performing on an athletic field or whether you're performing on a Zoom call or a podcast like this, or you're on stage, the greatest performers, the ones I admire the most, the ones we all know their names, they're exactly like that. It's a nightmare to get them on the damn stage. But once they're out there, they turn it loose, and they're not trying to be perfect. They're just trying to connect to another human being. And this one coach once said to me, Bo, what if what you're feeling isn't nerves? What if it's love that you're feeling? He goes, I think that's a more accurate description of what you're actually feeling. That really helped me too. So you guys, it's there, no more are we interested in people who give over to their feelings and emotions. We are the only heroic move is to stay committed to what you're actually committed to, not your feelings. So a lot of you may be married, right? What if you based your marriage based on the way you feel today and then tomorrow and then next week? You're like this. I hate him. I love him. I hate him. I love him. He's the best. He's the worst. And you're going like that. What if your marriage was based on that? That would be like a roller coaster. You base your marriage on that.
Yeah.
On something that never ends. So you have to do the same with your feelings. You have feelings about your marriage, but you're not committed to having a roller coaster marriage. You're committed to being married till death do you part. So that's why you have a successful marriage. So same thing in your course creation, same thing in your vulnerabilities that you feel. The only thing that's going to drive your business and sell more products is a human connection. And that human connection is based on the creator of the product. How do you sell books these days? How do people sell books? The words don't sell the book. The cover doesn't sell the book. The author sells the damn book.
Yes.
But they don't. And if you notice, most authors don't want to be in front of people. They don't want to.
No, they don't.
They want to be in a dark room by themselves with a computer. And if we can get them just to get their ass out of the seat for an hour and put themselves in front of somebody, all the feelings that they have and the insecurities that they have are the most beautiful connective tissue that you can have with another human being, which is embarrassment and humility and humanity. And that's why we buy their books, not because they're superheroes, because they're brave enough to get in front of us and sell it to us.
Right. Bo, I love it. Rocket fuel, love, put yourself out, all of these great themes. I want to shift gears a little bit and personal story power. So you just led us through a little mini exercise a couple of minutes ago and talk about defining moment, which is, we could talk about this 3-day event like all day, right?
Yeah.
You talk about presence at the event.
Yeah.
Having physicality. So,
yes.
And I think this is a lesson that we are not typically taught, especially as course creators, because we do everything online, right? Maybe we're not up on stages, but why do we need to know that power of presence and physicality as course creators?
It's you guys, if you take one thing from this, let's We are human beings. Do you know? Let's just have a little refresher course real quick on what that means. You don't run away from the podcast. We're animals. Okay, so right?
Yes.
Everyone can agree with that. I know some people are like, no, we're more evolved. No, actually, no, we're not. We're animals. Not only are we animals, but we are predatory animals, meaning we protect what we have. So, ladies, you know how that feels to have
Bears.
Mama bears, yes. Yeah. And it's the most powerful thing there is on the planet, yet we constantly are taught in our culture today to apologize for it. And there's a reason for that. We won't get into that today on this podcast, but there's reasons for that. You can imagine what they might be. People are really easy to handle if they're prey animals, if they're sheep, if they're little bunny rabbits, if they're little squirrels. Right? But you and me, we're predatory animals. So let's think of some examples of predatory animals. Falcon, let's start off light, right? Like a falcon.
Okay.
Great white shark. Tiger. Cheetah,
yeah.
Leopard, lioness, lion. Predatory, protective, grizzly bear. Us men and us women, we all understand this. We stay away from it as much as we can, but a lot of times we're forced into it. And then that's who arrives. Well, when you're that way and you're trying to hide that you're that way, which we all do, that is the most attractive thing about you. Do you know that draws the most attention? In fact, the studies will show you that no one can dismiss you when you're in that state. No one.
Love it.
No one can look away from you if you are an unapologetic predatory animal, which you already are.
Right.
But we're just refreshing this because we've been shamed out of it and talked out of it. And then the news, which they always do, the broadcast media always does this, right? They take the greatest thing about a human being, which I think is that we're predatory animals. Not only are we predatory, which is the most ominous, beautiful, lethal, noble, majestic thing that we are, and the most attractive thing that we are, they assign that terminology to the worst of our society. So they start naming people who cross boundaries and people who do really bad things to children. They start giving them this moniker called predator.
Right.
Which that's not what they are. That's not what a predator is.
Yeah.
A predator is in the service of protecting the tribe, not crossing boundaries of the tribe.
Right.
So they've assigned this to the opposite of what we mean. So anyway, that's what we are. And you and me are constantly apologizing for it. It is. So now let's go to the occupations that you can't take your eyes off of. Just think about what those might be. The first image that comes to my mind when I'm seeing something on TV or in person, if I'm seeing firefighters charging up the stairs of a burning skyscraper,
yes,
I promise you I'm not looking away from that human movement.
Way.
Right? So now let's go to your life. Gina, the reason when we do those 3 days in La Jolla, when we do the Personal Story Power event, we bring in the greatest movement coach in the world to work with everybody for over a day. He has changed my life. He has changed many performers' lives, including a lot of, Oscar winners, because he returns us to who we actually are, unapologetic, predatory animals as performers.
Right.
That's a brand. Gina's been around, my coach, long enough Look at look at Gina today. Just look at her essence today. That's a freaking unapologetic wild beast, right? In the most attractive way. Do you know the only reason that any of you are married is because of what I'm talking about?
Yep.
No one married anybody. Ask anybody, ask any gal. Hey, why didn't you marry your husband? Oh, he's so funny. That's never happened. Oh, he's just so smart. That never happened. That's never been said. Like, it is always something animal, raw instincts that they did, something they did. Like rescued a kitten out of a tree or sprinted across a street to, save the kid from falling off the bike, whatever. That's what we're attracted to. You must surrender to who we actually are. I'm telling you, if you want to make a lot of money in this world, if you want to build a business in this world, you must do the opposite of what the world does.
Yes.
And the world is sitting in cubicles, whining and complaining and apologizing for how much space they're taking up inside this little cubicle that they were allowed. If you do the opposite of all of that, you're going to put all the attraction, all the eyeballs on you. That gives you power. That gives you influence. Yeah. That's why, Gina, we spend so much time on this, because it's such a difference maker. And if you can kind of put a price tag on it, it helps business people, right? It helps course creators. They go, oh, 100%. Right. Because if people can't dismiss you like we can dismiss the rest of the world, which you do every day, if they can't dismiss you, guess what? They're with you. They got to pay. They got to be with you. The rest of everybody, they're just dismissing because they're trying to get rid of all the people apologizing, all the people who don't trust themselves, all the people who don't believe in their own strength. If someone's going to create a course and help me, well, they better be unapologetic about it, right? They better be physically present in front of me.
Okay, you talk about go the other way, right?
Yeah.
And you talk all the time about do not live the mediocre life, right?
Yeah.
And going the opposite way and being the best. Now, people are listening right now in their 9-to-5s, building up their courses.
Yep.
And sometimes it gets tough, Bo, as you know, right? There's a lot of pieces. How do you not quit? Like your resolve, your commitment, you and your wife and your kids, I see it every day. How do you not quit? How do you not give up?
Yeah. It's a great question. First of all, I never expect it to be a cakewalk. I think we get promoted a lot of things, that make $1 million in a weekend. It's easy.
Sure.
I just never expect that to be true. I expect to grind it out. I expect to take a couple shots to the face. I do. I kind of expect it. And I know if I don't quit, that I'll end up being the champion. That's just how it goes. Here's another thing about quitting, though, because this gives me some relief on quitting. So it's not that I never quit, and it's not that my kids never quit.
Okay.
We have a rule. So we do get to quit for an hour. And I can't tell you how much good that does you when you can just quit your dreams for an hour. Like my kids will be struggling with, say, volleyball, playing volleyball.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, Lila's plays volleyball, and the other girls are taller or better or older, and I'm just not as good as them. And I always go, yeah, not yet. Not yet. And so she'll cry and say, I'll never be, and I want to quit. And I go, okay, well, let's just quit for the next hour. Let's just drop the dream. So let's cry. I'll cry with you. And we can cry for an hour and just bury our head in the sofa. And so we do that, or we have permission to do it. And usually a few minutes later, the kids will lift their head and all of a sudden they're re-engaged.
Right.
Sometimes you just need the option to quit, to give yourself a little break, call a little timeout for yourself,
Okay.
and just suck for about an hour.
An hour.
Be a victim for an hour, like the
Okay.
whole world's against me. Oh, everyone's against my dream. God is even against my dream. All this stuff. And you'll start to listen to your ridiculous for a little while, and then you'll get back onto your dream. So, if you don't quit, your dream is coming true.
Yeah.
And I've never found this not to come true. It comes true. So you better be careful what it is. So just this morning, right before the podcast, me and Axel were talking. My son's a quarterback and he has dreams of being the best quarterback. And I told him, I said, Axel, do you know it's just as much work and it's just as hard to be a kind of crappy quarterback. To be kind of a mediocre quarterback, like say you get to play in high school.
Yep.
You kind of okay quarterback, not Tom Brady, not Patrick Mahomes, like a quarterback that wins the homecoming game and gets to go with the homecoming queen with the Letterman jacket. Like that is just as hard of a dream as being Tom Brady. So why not make the dream Tom Brady?
Right.
It's the same work. It's the same struggle. In fact, it may even be harder to be the prom king. It may be harder because your DNA isn't set up that way to be kind of good. Your DNA is set up to be the best, which is why we were all born number one. On the day of our conception, we were the gold medalist on that day, weren't we?
Yes.
Against all odds, we were the gold medalist. We weren't silver medalists and we weren't bronze. I know those are nice medals. We're not made that way. We're just not made that way. So I like to stick with Mother Nature because, she's undefeated. Yeah. And I like winning, so I'm with her. She's always on my team. And so I go with what my DNA says, which is to be number one. So same thing with so I go, Axel, you can work your ass off and you could do all this training, all this mind work, all this surgeries you're going to have to go through. And it equals winning a high school game.
Right.
Or it could equal winning 8 Super Bowls. Wow. You choose. Yeah. It's the same work.
Right.
It's the same damn thing. And if we'll just understand this, that we're just not made to be mediocre. We just can't fit inside the cubicle. Yeah. It doesn't work for us. That's why people like doing, with their 9 to 5, they're trying to get out of it, right? Because they want freedom and access. Well, that's what I'm asking you to do too, because that's how you're made. You're made to be the voice, the boss, the expanse. Because one thing nature does, nature expands. Nature, think about that. Nature expands. We're part of nature. So human beings actually expand. But our culture tells us to be smaller and fit inside this little, and be locked down inside that little home, and be inside that little place, and try to not be too big, and try not to be too bold, and try to be kind of cute, but not too cute, or try to be sexy, not too sexy, try to be masculine, not too masculine. Right. That's not how nature works, people. So you actually have to fly in the face of Mother Nature to do what the culture's telling you to do, in which that's why I go the 180 degrees the opposite way that your culture's telling you to go. I always about face and go the opposite direction, because that's the right direction. That's where your DNA, that's where Mother Nature is. That's your calling. And the culture is calling you to do less,
Right.
to be less, and I can't fit inside that. I just don't know how to do that.
You don't know how to do that. I love it.
Yeah.
We were talking about personal story power a little bit, and I've seen so many people step into their greatness, or really start to step into their greatness at this event through their story and doing the exercise of the physicality, working on their defining moment. What else? I mean, if you haven't listened to Bo for the last 30 minutes and think I need to work with this guy, then what else do you want to say about personal story power, Bo?
Well, it's, I for one, we just have this amazing, as you know, Gina, because you're part of it. So we just have this amazing team, and it's a little elite fighting force, led by my wife. And she's just, my wife is like a dog on a pant leg. She just demands greatness from everybody, and you will not disappoint. Otherwise,
you will step up. You will step into it, right? Yes.
Yeah, and that's what I love about her. That's what I love about our team. So everybody is demanded to get the best out of themselves, and then we surround you with people like my movement coach, and that just train and teach and raise the level. So the first day, we're going to capture your personal story. We all have these great defining moment stories that we don't even use, but they're so valuable. They're worth so much money, and you don't even know. They're worth so much growth to your company that you're not even using. You're just leaving it over there on the sidelines because you're afraid, or you're embarrassed, or you're vulnerable. Who cares? So we're going to capture your story. Second day, we're going to physicalize that story. So, my movement coach comes, we're going to attach that story to these solar plexus, to human molecules, so that story walks around with you unapologetically for the rest of your life. Mm-hmm. And then the third day, we teach you how to make money with your story, which is what our company's really been able to do. Yes. And then our clients have really excelled in that world because they came in successful in the first place, or some of them just never told their story and were building a business or in transition of leaving their 9-to-5. Well, we said, start with your story. And all of a sudden, they saw money come in. They saw all of a sudden people wanting to work with them based on the relationship with their story. And then coaching, and they just explode.
Yes.
And so we have just found that these 3 days are the most powerful, impactful days that we can possibly have. And here's the good news. You already have the goods.
Yes.
You already have the story. You may not know it. You may not use it. We're going to get it out of you. You already have a predatory nature, but you're just not using it. Right. We're going to reintroduce you to it with the greatest movement coach in the world. And then we're going to attach a price tag to that physicality of the storytelling so that you get paid every time you tell the story. So it's a cool 3 days. I'd love to have you.
So good. I will link to the link to register in the show notes. Also, if you sign up and you're a part of my community, I'm going to get a special bonus for everyone who signs up. Yes, if you are part of the CCB community, just to give you a little bit bonus. And I'm always at those events. So you will definitely get the opportunity to meet up with me. So it's a must. It's an incredible event. No one does it like you and Dawn do it. You know that. So I recommend it for all my course creators. And Bo, thank you. I know you are so busy right now, and I really love that you took the time to come by and be on the podcast. So thank you so much. You know how much I look up to you and Dawn. You are not only clients, but friends, dear friends, and mentors to me. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Gina. It was so fun to have a friendly face on being interviewed by a friendly face and teammate. It was fun.